All right, now that we've got our audio files bounced out, it's time to bring them back into our project. So the first thing I'm going to do is save a new version of this live set. Go to File, Save Live Set As, stick it in our same project folder, and rather than calling this one Prep for Mix, let's call this one Mix. This is my first version of the mix for today, so we can save it as version 1. Hit Save, and then we can collapse down all of these MIDI tracks. We'll soon be deleting those tracks, but I'm going to leave them in here. Now I could go through and start a new Ableton Live set, but the reason why I'm going to keep working out of this one is it's already got in all of my my markers or my locators here, so it's going to be really easy to just kind of navigate my way around the project. But one thing I noticed is I didn't save the previous version that bar of silence that I inserted at the beginning there, so let's go ahead and tag that back in. 1 bar of silence, hit OK, because that's going to be in those audio files that we import. Now I can go over to my browser or Finder, go to Current Project, to my Bounces folder, to my Stems folder. Here's my version 2, everything that I exported, and we can see all those files that we made. You can see that this is Mellow as Yellow Does, Stems, the version number, that's version number 4 of the stuff that we've been working on today. And then use underscores of all of the individual tracks inside of that. And we also see down here at the bottom the master track that's been exported out of there that doesn't have any track name on the bottom there. So you can see here, this is when using those underscores is really nice because it just distinguishes those tracks as being instrument tracks. Where if I exposed up this other one, we can see here are some other ones that were submixes and things like that that aren't instrument tracks themselves. So let's drag and drop these in. So let's select the brass down through the trombones, or the bass down through the trombones, drag these out over the project, line it up at the beginning. And if I've just clicked on them, I don't hold down any modifier keys. Right now it's got all of those audio files that I've selected running sequentially. So as soon as that first audio file ends, the next one begins. But if I hold down the Command or the Control key on a PC, you can see it toggles to stack them up vertically and create new audio tracks for each of those. So if I release, it's imported them all. It's wicked quick because we'd already analyzed all those tracks on the export. So now I can collapse down that folder, and then I'm going to bring in one other out of my bounces folder is the reference track that we had made earlier, the first video in the Mellow as Yellow Does premix, the last version of that premix, and this is going to be the one that I use as the reference for what it sounded like when I finished composing. That way, if I'm listening to something like, what was I thinking about this sound? Was I thinking that this was really reverberant or really small, or what was going on there? That'll be what I use as my reference track. So let's pull that one in. Fine, create a new audio track. So give me some space. There we go. And we hadn't had that 1 bar intro at the beginning, so move that over a little bit, collapse that down, get rid of the clip view. Now the next step is to go through and organize all of this stuff. So I can start by deleting out all these tracks, the MIDI tracks that we had on there, hit delete. See that CPU drop back down, and go through and name, and I can look over at the headers for each of these clips to see what name I should give this track. This one should be my bass track. And that's it. Oops. And our reference mix. Great. Let's bring that one all the way up to the top. So now we've got the name. I'm going to start organizing them. I think it's moving slow because that screen capture is running there. So there we go. All right, reference mix at the top there. Then let's put our guitar and let's go through and do some coloring. Go. And let's put everything inside of a group. So group tracks make a little bit more sense if we look over in the session view. Group tracks allow me to kind of make folders or summing folders of tracks. So if I select all these drum sounds, and I hit Command G, or I control click on any of their title bars, right click on it, go down to group tracks, we'll see that if we've got the inputs and the outputs exposed, their outputs, or the audio 2, is switched to the group, which means that all of these tracks are sending their audio to this group track, and then from that group track passes along to the master track. So this allows us to get kind of submixes or sub-control, or just organizing our projects in general. So that I've got that named, or that grouped up there, let's rename that as my drums. Noticing my naming conventions there, that the local tracks have those underscores, and then my submixes, or my group tracks, I like to do all capital letters with no underscore, as kind of like this is where everything is coming together. So collapse that down. Let's do the same thing with our brass sounds. Name that as brass. Bass is alone, pad is alone. Here's my flute sounds, or my lead. Let's call that my lead sound. Collapse that down. And then guitar can sit alone. The reference track can sit alone. Let's actually mute out that reference track for now. And then just make sure that everything's colored appropriately. Looks good. All right, so now we've got all of our tracks imported. Oh, we still need to do some coloring down here. All right, there's a nice and organized, ready to go project. Now we're ready to actually start mixing.